Good morning, everyone. We are here today to give you some hints that could be useful for you to structure a project idea. This is a follow-up of our Euroasi project, of one of the trainings that we held in Bali and in Boracay, but can be useful for everyone that would like to address this topic and to write their own project. One of the big mistakes that people do when they are thinking a project idea is to don't well understand the difference between the goals or aims and the objectives. So what we are going to do today, we are going to define the goals and objectives of our project. We start with the goal. Goals usually are broad statements about general directions or purpose that you want to achieve with your project. Is the general idea that you want to catch through the activities that you are doing during your project. So remember, general direction or purpose of the project. It's not something specific. Also, a goal or an aim defines what you plan to do in the project. What you plan to do in a project should be connected always with the problem that we want to achieve. Usually, when you have an idea, the first thing that we say when we are organizing the training about project writing, we always say you have to think to the problems that you want to address in your local community. And your project should be the structure, how you would like to give an answer to this problem. And in this case, when we talk about the goal, which is the general, as we said, purpose of the project, it has to be connected with the problem that you have to solve, that you want to solve. So when you are preparing the statement related to the goal that you want to achieve in your project, you have to remember that it has to be connected with the problem that you want to solve. The aims or the goals don't have to be very specific or precise. Usually they are an umbrella for the objectives. They include also the objectives that you want to achieve. And this is another thing that you have to remember. Usually also we say aims and goals in plural, but usually you have one or maximum two sentences when you are defining your goal, but anyway never than three. It has to be a sentence, well structured, defined, but not too long. One or two statements. And the fact that we say that it is a broad statement about general direction and it is an umbrella for the objectives doesn't mean that your goal has to be vague. Your goal has to always be well defined. You always have to show and to be precise in what you want to achieve. What should contain a goal? A goal should take into consideration the target group. You are referring to the issue that you want to solve, that you want to take into consideration the area that is concerned by the project and where you're going to work, and also some indications about the methodology. But anyway, not too much, not specific. It doesn't have to contain this information. This information is not for the goal. Dates, how to do the things, the activities that you want to achieve, and other things so specific. You can just mention some activities in case it's necessary to explain better the goal that you want to achieve. But let's say that in general, these things don't have to be taken into consideration when you are defining the goal. Now, let's see how a goal should look like, because after all this information that I gave you, maybe it's interesting for you also to see an example. And this is an example of a goal for a project. For a project that is about inclusion of immigrants in a specific society. Favoring integration and sense of belonging to the local community of the immigrants of the Atlas neighborhood of Candy Town within respect of reciprocal identities and through promoting their participation to the socio-economical development of the area. As you can see, this sentence, this big sentence, it's including all the information that I showed you here. Target group, which is the target group? The immigrants of the Atlas neighborhood of Candy Town. It's very specific in this, but it's very general information that is given you. It's a broad statement. Favoring integration and sense of belonging is something that is very general. It's taken into consideration the target group, the area where we are working, and also a little bit of, let's say, how to do it, a little bit of methodology through promoting their participation to socio-economic development. It's giving an idea, but it's not specifying how. Also, another recommendation that I could give you is to use simple language. Don't use very creative words, especially if you're not writing in your own language. If you're not an English speaker and you're writing in English, try to use very simple words that can be understood by everyone. So that was for the goal. And now let's see the differences with the objectives. We already said one important thing, that the goal has to be a kind of umbrella for the objectives. So the objectives, instead, they are the steps that we want to take in order to reach the aim. So we have a general objective that we want to achieve, which is the goal, and how to reach this goal through little steps. These steps are the objectives that we have set for our project. The objectives, in general, we say now that they have to be more specific and they have to support the aim. As I said, they have to help you to reach the aim. Usually there are no more than 6. Let's see now the things that you have to take into consideration when you are creating your objectives. Things to be done. First of all, always discuss your objectives. Something that is clear for you is not really necessary that is clear for everyone. But if you discuss it with other people, also that are not involved in your project writing, and they are clear for them, it means that will be clear also for the people that will be evaluating your project. This is important to get also second opinions, not only to be sure that the objectives are clear. Ask yourself always if the objectives that you are creating can be evaluated. One of the things that the evaluators, those that read your project idea to give you the funds, always try to check if this objective could be monitored and evaluated. And usually we use action verbs when we are talking about objectives. Usually we say to organize, for example, in the case of our goal that was about inclusion of immigrants and also to promote their participation in the social and economic development of that neighborhood. In that case, what could be the objectives for that aim? Could be to organize trainings about how to run a proper enterprise. Organize language courses, to develop their communication competencies, and so on. Usually you always use verbs like to develop, to promote, to enlarge, to rise up, always action verbs and verbs that are positive. If you can, if not, it's not necessary like very very important, but if you can, it's also good that you make them follow a logical order. It gives the idea to the people that are reading that you have a logical order also in your mind when you were creating the objectives. What you shouldn't instead do, so things that you don't have to do when you are creating the objectives for your project. First and most important thing, don't confuse the objectives with the goals. We already said that. But there is also another thing that people mistakes very often, which is to confuse the objectives with the activities. The objectives are different from the activities. So this is very important, and don't forget, the objectives say to develop something. An activity is to realize one thing in order to develop that thing. And last thing that it's also very important for our hints is to never define objectives that you don't plan to achieve. Also in this case, we say that enough is enough. When you have 5, maximum 6 objectives, it's already enough for one project idea. You can also write more if you're really feeling that you will achieve them, and if you can justify the reason why you're putting all those objectives. Don't repeat things many times. Be clear and conceive with what you are writing. These were just a few hints for not mistaking objectives and goals. There will be more information if you check the other educational materials that we have on our digital library and on the platform of our project Euroasi. You can keep on following us on all our channels. You will find the links at the end of this video. Thank you for your attention.